Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I'm going to be talking about the NHL All-Star Game and the captains that were just revealed. Now the NHL All-Star fan vote has been revealed, so that begs the question, which players were named captain for their respective divisions, and did they really deserve it? The NHL set up a fan vote to vote on the captains of the 2019 All-Star Game. Now, there's one captain per division, and that makes sense. But there are a couple of surprises, but generally, it was about what you'd expect. Now, we're going to go through every division. Of course, I'm going to tell you guys who got the captaincy in each division, but I'm also going to go through some players that were probably heavily considered to be the captain, but just barely didn't get in, but still deserve a lot of spotlight. Now we're going to start out with the Atlantic Division, and this is probably the biggest surprise of any of these captains. Of course, for the Atlantic Division, Auston Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs ends up getting the captain. Now, it's no surprise, technically, Auston Matthews is a fantastic player. He's having a great season in the games that he has played, but he's been injured for quite a long time, and he's missed a lot of games compared to a lot of other guys, and I was kind of surprised that he still ended up getting the captaincy, even if he missed so much time. Now, so far this season, in the games that he has played, he's just been straight brilliant as ever. He's played 23 games, but has gotten 34 points in those games, and in the games that he's played, certainly he has been stellar. He has been one of the best guys in the NHL, but when it comes to the games that he missed about 3 or 4 weeks. He was out for a pretty bad amount of time, which of course lagged him behind some of the other guys, especially in the Atlantic Division. But with that, of course, this is a fan vote. Toronto Maple Leafs fans probably came out in droves to vote for their players like Tavares, Marner, and especially Matthews. Of course, right now, playing fantastic in the games that he has played, he still ends up getting the captaincy. And honestly, to me, I'm kind of fine with Auston Matthews getting the captain. Of course, I like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're my fourth favorite team. I'm fine with it. And Auston Matthews, being one of my favorite players in the NHL right now, being a good old American boy, I like to see it. And even though it was rough and he missed all that time, because right now he could be in the race for the Art Ross if he was healthy. In the games that he has played, he's been fantastic. And it does make sense that all those Toronto Maple Leafs fans would come out in droves just to vote for him. Now, when it comes to other players in the Atlantic Division, there were a ton of fantastic players, at least so far this season, that have really stepped up offensively. And in the Atlantic Division, it might have been the hardest division to pick a player, just because there were so many players that just dominated so far this year. Now, when it comes to other players, you're first got to start out with Makita Kucherov. He has been lighting it up with the Tampa Bay Lightning so far this season. You got guys like Mitch Marner, who have been fantastic and can arguably be the best player on the Toronto Maple Leafs so far. You got Jack Eichel, who might be in the MVP conversation. He's been that good. You got Braden Point, who has been just fantastic with the Tampa Bay Lightning. You got Jeff Skinner, who alongside with Jack Eichel has been one of the main reasons for Buffalo's success. You got David Pastrnak, who has been one of the key successes for Boston so far this season. And last but not least, you got Mark Stone, who has been amazing on a pretty meh Ottawa Senators team. Now, heading on over to the Central Division, the player that got named the captain in the Central Division was Nathan McCann, of course, of the Colorado Avalanche. He so far has been amazing with Mikko Rantanen. They both have such amazing chemistry together, and they're both just playing great. And with Nathan McKinnon, I think he's been the better of the two, and he's having a great season, maybe even improving on his pretty much MVP season last year. So far, he's played 37 games, he's gotten 56 points, and overall, he's just been an absolute beast. Now, when it comes to the other candidates in the Central Division, it isn't as wealthy as the Atlantic Division players, but there's still quite a few guys that could have been definitely up there for contention. For me personally, I still would have voted Nathan McKinnon as my guy in the Central Division, but there are some other great players too. You got Scheifele in there, who has played great with Winnipeg Jets so far. Patrick Kane, who is a pretty revival season for the Blackhawks. You got Pekka Rinne, who is still playing pretty solid. Mikael Granlund, who is really starting to find his groove for the Minnesota Wild. And last but not least, I have Ryan O'Reilly, who has been one of the main, really the only good part about St. Louis so far this season. He's still killing it and doing well with his new team. But especially when you compare the Central Division and the Atlantic Division, the Central Division is a little bit weaker when it comes to those star players that are just absolutely performing. But again, you got those top two guys, Rantanen and McKinnon, pretty much carrying the load there. McKinnon, I would say, better than Rantanen, but right now, I think McKinnon definitely deserves that spot in the Central Division, and I'm glad that he got that. Now we're going to be heading over to the Metropolitan Division, and for the captain in the Metro Division, we have Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals. Absolutely beautiful. So far this season, he's having just a crazy season at what, like age 33. He's been amazing, and the goal scoring, it seems like he's a 22-year-old again, absolutely lighting up the NHL. So far this season, in 35 games, he's gotten 44 points, but he's up to 29 goals so far, and he's still racking up the points as much as ever. He's still scoring as many goals as ever, and this season is one of those seasons where it gives me hope that Ovechkin could possibly get near Gretzky's goal record, especially if he keeps playing like this. I mean, at age 33, he's still playing at an elite level, and so far, I don't think anybody else deserves to be the captain other than Ovechkin. Now, when it comes to other candidates in the Metro Division, there were a lot of guys that I thought were up there with Ovechkin, even though Ovechkin was probably the clear guy to get the captaincy. You gotta start with a guy like Claude Giroux, who's having a great season, of course, scoring 100 points last season. He had a great year, but is continuing to play well. You got Sidney Crosby, who might be in the Hart conversation this year, especially in the last couple of weeks, where he's played very, very well. You got a guy like Artemi Panarin, who has had a great season so far for the Columbus Blue Jackets. You got Backstrom, who, of course, is playing great with Alex Ovechkin, as always. You got Malkin, who, alongside Crosby, is having all the workload on Pittsburgh. And last but not least, you got Anders Lee, who is one of the big parts and one of the big cogs of that entire Islanders offense. Now, last but not least, we're going to head on over to the Pacific Division, and this one was also pretty interesting, but, of course, I don't think anybody really expected anything to go the other way. Connor McDavid ends up being the captain, of course, with the Edmonton Oilers. He ends up being the captain of the Pacific Division. No surprise there whatsoever. This is the third straight year where he's been the captain of the Pacific Division, and, of course, with Connor McDavid, you just have to give it to him, right? Now, so far, Connor McDavid has had an amazing year again. No surprise whatsoever. But in 35 games, he's had 52 points, continuing to be on an absolutely great pace. And with Connor McDavid, again, the guys like Leon Draisaitl, and some of that offense has been good, but Connor McDavid, as always, is pretty much leading that Oilers offense every single night, and that's what McDavid is relied upon. And with the Edmonton Oilers and with the Pacific Division, Connor McDavid, I think, just had to be the guy for the Pacific Division. I don't think you can make the argument for anyone else. Now, when it comes to other candidates in the Pacific Division, there are some solid ones, I would say, for sure. Again, Connor McDavid takes the cake, but there are some other players that I think definitely deserve some respect. First off, you got Gibson of the Anaheim Ducks. He has had such a good season, but I'm not sure if you can give the captaincy to a goaltender, not in the NHL, but I'm not even sure if you can do that in the All-Star game. So, while he does deserve credit, I'm not sure if that's even possible. Then you got Johnny Gaudreau, who has had an amazing season so far. Matthew Tkachuk, who has been an absolute beast alongside of Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan. You got Elias Pettersson, who of course has had an amazing season with the Vancouver Canucks when he's been able to play. And last but not least, I have Clayton Keller, who, with the Arizona Coyotes, they've been pretty inconsistent, but Keller has been good all season. Now, there's a few notes to go along with these captaincies. Now, first off, I didn't mention it already, but Connor McDavid being the captain for the Pacific Division 3 straight years in a row. And while McDavid is a beast, that's a pretty hard feat to accomplish. And if there's any player to do it, McDavid is definitely the guy to do that. And no surprise there, of course, this year, he's having another stellar season. Last year, he was fantastic. And the year before that, that was his first Art Ross season. So it does make sense that Connor McDavid would get it 3 years in a row. And again, if there's any player to do it, it would be Connor McDavid. Now, on the Austin Matthews side of things, this will be his third straight All-Star game. I think this will be the first time that he is the captain, but this will be Austin Matthews' third straight All-Star game, of course, since his rookie year. He's been in the NHL 3 years in a row, and he's been in the All-Star game 3 years in a row. So that just goes to show how good Austin Matthews has been, and since being a rookie, he's gotten that praise almost immediately. And of course, so far in his NHL career, while it's been a little bit spotty when it comes to health, when he's played, he's been an absolute beast. Now, the same thing also goes for Nathan MacKinnon, and even though he's a little bit more of an older player, this is McKinnon's third straight All-Star game. And of course, with MacKinnon, he's had an interesting career up to this point. He had that great rookie year, but then he slowed down for a couple of years. But in the last few years, he's been absolutely insane, especially last year where he probably should have won the MVP. He was fantastic. And this year, he's going right where he left off and is arguably one of the best players in the NHL right now, probably even top 5. And with MacKinnon, 3 straight All-Star games doesn't really surprise me, because in that stretch, he's just been phenomenal. Now on to the Alex Ovechkin side of things. This is his 8th All-Star game in his entire career. This is his 3rd Metro Division captaincy in 4 years, and it makes sense because the grade 8 is an absolute beast. So far this season, he's just been phenomenal, and it seems like he's, again, like a 25-year-old still playing in the NHL in his prime. But at age 33, he's starting to grow gray hairs, he's starting to get old, but you wouldn't notice that on the ice, and so far this season, I think he definitely deserves to be the captain in the Metro Division, and right now, I don't think anybody holds up. At least, when it comes to Alex Ovechkin, you gotta have him in the All-Star game, and having him as the captain is a great idea. Now, when it comes to the remaining players in the All-Star game, they're going to be voted on by the NHL Operations Department, which means that the people of the NHL world can only vote on the captaincy, which kind of sucks because I wanted to see player or people maybe vote for the coaches or something extra. But voting for the captain, it's fun sometimes, but I would wish that maybe the NHL went a little bit further with that, especially since the NHL voting itself and the NHL voting for players themselves is just a little bit boring. But I definitely do like the idea of the fan vote and the fans getting into the All-Star game, or at least getting the vote on players in the All-Star game, because just like last year, I mean, I don't think the NHL would have put Brian Boyle in the All-Star game, but because, of course, a lot of people surrounded around him and were able to make that happen, Brian Boyle was able to play in the All-Star game, and it was an amazing story. And of course, we got John Scott a couple of seasons ago, which was absolutely legendary. But even then, the All-Star game is usually quite a bit of fun, and this year should be no exception. Being in San Jose, that franchise knows how to host stuff, and those games in San Jose are always so much fun. So I think they'll do a good job with the All-Star game, and here's hoping that it's a lot more entertaining than the one in Tampa Bay, and here's hoping that the skills competition is actually worth watching. But with this All-Star game and the captains that we have, Austin Matthews, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, and Alex Ovechkin, some of those guys could be a lot of fun, especially guys like Ovechkin, and I feel like this All-Star game could be a lot of fun, and even the All-Star game itself could be a lot more fun than people might expect. So I'm hoping for that, and here's hoping that the All-Star game and the skills competition are good this year, a lot better than years past. But with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. Again, let me know your thoughts on this year's 2019 All-Star Game. What do you think about the captains that were selected? Austin Matthews, Ovechkin, McKinnon, and McDavid. Would you keep those guys, or would you choose someone else? But if you guys want some more Grab videos, you can watch this video where I talk about William Nylander and if we should worry about him. But that is going for you guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're on the way to 1.5K subscribers, so join the journey. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the captains of the 2019 All-Star Game. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.